Yeah, there's a picture in this. Right, so they try to after they come to.
All right. Welcome everyone to the Planning Commission. We'll start off with the call to order and the roll call. We are all present tonight, and the next thing we'll do is pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Changes to the agenda. It feels like just items 1 and 2 have been removed.
Yeah.
Removed.
Yeah, they're coming next month to be court accepted. Also, and item 4 was moved down to item 8 because it's not a consent item. Another thing to note on the staff note, the Dollar General square footage on the staff note should say 10535, and the owner should be the Cohen Group LLC. Just wanted to note that for the record, that the agenda is right. Staff notes should say reflect the agenda.
So items 1 and 2 are moved down. The Legacy Farms went to item 8. So really, I guess item 3 be the only thing on the consent agenda. We'll just treat it like a normal agenda item. So someone phase 4 request a I'm sorry. I'm way ahead of myself. Approval of the meeting agenda. Anybody have any questions about the revisions to the meeting agenda? If not, we have a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. We got a second.
Second.
Motion second approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Approval of the prior minutes from the October 10th, 2023 meeting. Anybody got any corrections or notes on those? If not, we have a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve. We have a second.
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Now we get to the agenda items. I'll try to jump ahead on. One quick thing. There is some people signed up for public comment, so I guess we can go ahead and do that. Benjamin Ellsworth.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Benjamin Ellsworth. This is my wife, Kimberly. We live at 148 Cedar Brook Drive. I'm an Asheville Metro officer, soon-to-be father, and one of the many citizens of White House who are hoping for a change to our city's ordinance regarding livestock. As you know, the current ordinance does not allow or define if property owners of less than an acre can possess livestock without special permission. It is mine and other community members' belief that this there should be a change to allow a reasonable amount and type of livestock to be kept. While the increase in prices of fresh produce is an obvious factor, we believe there are other factors, other reasons for this change. Here are a few that I see. Like I said, I'm soon to be a new father, and having animals to care for was a great tool for my parents to teach me things like responsibility, commitment, and patience. My wife and I plan on hopping on the growing trend of homeschooling our children and have animals to care for and to learn about can be a great teaching tool. Additionally, while many people in White House may commute to work in bigger cities like Nashville, there's a reason people enjoy living in a small town city like White House. Part of that is the charm of living a community rooted in self-reliance, pride in where we live, and the slower, simple home life. Absent of being able to have a full-on homestead, things like growing your own produce and owning livestock are a great way to enjoy a smaller slice of that pie. Being an officer in Nashville is about as up-paced as it gets in this area, and while I know I might be on the far end of that spectrum, there is absolutely something about tending to your land and animals that's therapeutic. I would also like to be the first to advocate that rules do need to be set. Having an unreasonable amount of animals or a certain type, example roosters, on one's property is not the goal, and obviously HOAs will have the final say in their areas. But what we are asking for is not unreasonable, nor would it be a negative effect to the community. In closing, I will say that while my 3 main points of education, self-reliance, and just the plain old enjoyment of having a small flock are my main focus, There are many other productive reasons to allow property owners in our community to have livestock. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you. All right, Kay Stinson.
Hello, my name is Kay Stinson. We live in Cambria Estates in White House on the soccer field. And I'm going to give you my opinion on the opposing of allowing chickens in the city. So one of them is I work for a real estate agency. I have for quite a while now in Sumner County. And I do feel that allowing chickens will definitely impact our property value. Some of that could be handled, again, by the way they're built, the control of how many chickens, there's a lot to this. So I'm sure you guys have thought about it, but there's a lot to this situation. So my other question would be maintaining the structure. Again, sounds like a lot to take on for the zoning department, but people come and people go. Again, I'm a real estate. We know how people buy and sell. So you build a structure and you leave, and the next people don't do chickens. So who's going to maintain it? Who's going to watch all this stuff? Who's going to take care of it? My next point would be chickens bring unwanted predators to the neighborhood. I grew up on a farm. I do know this. They bring coyotes, snakes, bobcats, and raccoons. We already have plenty of raccoons in our neighborhood, so we don't need many more. And again, my question would be, who is going to control that part of it? Is that going to be more on zoning? Are we just adding more and more to zoning? The other thing about chickens, the predators that come for the chickens, again, maybe they're in a cage, that's not my point. You're still going to have predators. They carry a lot of rabies, another disease. When you start talking about letting this happen with an acre or less, you're starting to squeeze into smaller lots. And again, when you're bringing in these predators, you're starting to talk about domesticated pets that are going to be affected. Small children, domesticated pets. And again, we have plenty of raccoons in the middle of the city. So that's just one of the things. I just think that this is going to just open the door to a lot of other issues. You're talking chickens. I think White House has a lot more to offer than us sit here tonight and worry about chickens. I mean, I saw your agenda. It's pretty long. It's real estate based. So this seems a little trivial, but again, I appreciate you letting me talk about it. Todd and I would like to stick with the 1 acre requirement. Again, we feel if you don't have an acre, then you need to remove the chicken coops. This is the chicken coop located behind our house. And again, we're in Cambria and we're in an HOA, but this property is not. It's about like an 8 by 10, and that's my guesstimate. And this is what I am now looking at when the leaves fell off out of my kitchen window and my patio. Every single time I go out. So again, I guess my point is, I'm not a chicken hater. I grew up on a farm. But I do feel like if you guys consider this, there's a lot of other things that need to be considered as well. And size is definitely one of them. And again, I'm a chicken hater and don't have no issues with farm animals, but I just feel like the city of White House has a lot more to worry about than chickens. So, thank you guys, I appreciate it.
The 2 names we have signed up to speak on the public comment. We will be addressing the chicken issue at item 5 below here. Item 3, this is Summerlin Phase 4, request a 1-year bond extension. So you just want to
As of yet, the developer has not reached out to decrease his bond. I think they're getting close, but as of now, we're just doing a 15% increase.
Okay. This is Summerlin Phase 4. All right. Any question on this? No, you have a motion?
For extending and increasing. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, item 4 is moving on down. Those people want to do later. Item number 4, Dollar General requests a site plan approval for proposed 10,535 square feet retail store on Highway 31 South. All right, Caesar.
This will be a standard Dollar General. It'll be adjacent to the Shell station, currently being built at Business Park Drive and Highway 31W. This site will share the access with the Shell station, which has already been approved by TDOT. Again, it's a standard Dollar General. I say standard, but with it, the elevations are all-side brick, which is not standard in most places. You see like the metal building, but this was showing brick. But other than that, we looked at the site plan and.
Okay. Do we have anybody here to represent the project?
Yes, Allison Turner with Greenwood Design, here representing as the engineer. The owner couldn't be here tonight, they were here last night, so, but they couldn't make it tonight, so I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right, any planning commissioners got any discussion or comments about this site?
You just say all four sides to it.
Yes, it's a little bit upgraded from, a typical one out in this more rural area.
It's just a regular Dollar General, not a market, just a Dollar.
No.
And this is currently zoned C2 commercial, so
Yeah.
it's
My right zone.
This is administrative. Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Do you guys have any knowledge of the other Dollar General's plans? Are they gonna remain open? Are they planning on closing?
They don't like to close them. They pretty much keep them open everywhere they can. Yeah.
They actually have room for more, but.
Yeah, I'm
I was
surprised
told.
it's the first one we've done in here. I've done about 6 in the last 4 years, so, and we only do this general area, so, no, they'll stay in place.
So you're with the Coin Group, the people who build them?
No, Turner Associates is who's building the project. They build Dollar Generals all over at least the mid-state area.
Okay.
And we've done a few of them in other cities around, around Sumner County. And he does a really good product. He does, usually it'll be, oftentimes he'll do concrete paving. I mean, he does them very well, and he does them very quickly, and they don't take a lot of disturbance. I mean, they're good at what they do, and they do it quickly, so it won't be a lot of disturbance.
All right, if there's no other comments or questions, we have a motion.
Motion to approve.
A motion to approve, we have a second.
I'll second.
All right, motion and second to approve, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, motion approved. Item number 5, request recommendation from the board mayor and alderman to amend the zoning ordinance regarding residential agricultural uses. This was deferred at the last month's meeting. Steve,
Ms. Jenna Nim, she has been very thorough in doing this, so she's going to present this.
Good evening. From the last meeting, I took notes from the input and comments that you all had. I did update it a little bit. The changes I made in the section that you see that would allow the livestock, I changed it from a different number of chickens per residential zoning to just a maximum of 4, but in all residential zoning. And I did that because I feel like less than 4, there might not be a point of having chickens, but it's not so many. And I grouped it all together in all residential zoning because I feel like anything under R15 or in a PUD would have an HOA at this point. Any new developments have HOAs, which won't allow them. So that's why I changed that. And I did add on number 8, all food should be stored securely to keep from rodent infestation. And number 9, I wrote the slaughtering of chickens is prohibited. So those are the changes that I made.
there was some questions in the comments there about who would be enforcement. I guess that would be your own department.
as of now.
Complaint based.
Yeah, complaint based, yeah.
And that's my chief problem with that, is enforcement. We don't have an animal control officer for dogs and other, pets. I don't know.
Well, if I may speak on that too, there are already a lot of chickens in the city. A lot in a lot of the older R20 neighborhoods, and we get calls on them now. And when they have chickens, we go and from what we can see and try to investigate, and we have to either have them come to court if they don't want to get rid of them, or they would go to BZA and ask for them. It's quite a process, and sometimes, I mean, we run into families that have maybe 3 hens in a little coop, and I have to go and tell them to get rid of their chickens. And if that's the way it is, then that's the way it is, but we are dealing with it now as well.
So if you had it, say we did adopt this or recommend it be adopted, your choice, your control would be go to tell them your coop isn't adequate, it's too close to someone's property line. You're going to have similar problems. It's just that, and how are you going to handle that? I mean, is that going to be a thing where they're going to have to come into court if they don't comply? You know, because the ones that are already there, they're not going to come in and get a permit. I don't know.
I think we could flush out the permitting process to where if we permit, you know, add a permitting component to it, you know, apply application and similar to how we do, you know, building permits. But
that would be for new requests. What about the ones that are already out there?
I guess we would have to consider, I mean, we would have to be complaint based on what's out there now.
I mean, you don't put out a notice to say, okay, now y'all all have to come in to get a permit, and then we're going to come in and inspect y'all to make sure you comply with all the rules.
I mean, there could be an option to retro, if this got approved, we could retro it and have a record.
Permit, can we require some sort of initial registration just to establish the property has chickens?
I mean, I've seen that in other jurisdictions, so, I mean, that could be an option.
Of course, if you ask for if they had to get a permit and they had to pay for a permit, it might offset some of the inspection.
Oh, definitely.
I don't know. I'm torn.
Would we charge per chicken or per household?
Probably a set fee.
Okay.
Yeah.
When does that all come into play? The penalties, the fees,
The fee would be, if there were a permit, it would be on the initial, you know.
once this is approved?
Once it's approved, yeah.
Then we go through all this
Yeah.
stuff as well?
Yeah, and then the board mayor and alderman would set the fee on the fee schedule, because we can't arbitrarily assign a fee. It would have to be, I mean, I'd like to, but, so.
And what do you do if they do not comply? So
That's an easy one. We cite them to court. I will say, citing the court, I mean, under our rules, you know, they have to wait like 30 days, so it's not immediately, and that's with anything. That's with property maintenance, high grass. It's just the process is, you know, property maintenance versus, you know.
And that's city court.
City court,
So that
yeah.
would be Judge Sanders who would.
Yeah. And then if there's an appeal, then they go to circuit court.
How many issues do you see a month where you go and talk to someone about their chickens? Just an average.
Maybe 1, 2 a month.
2 a month.
Average, yeah.
And there's 3 people in your department?
Yeah. 3 people.
3 people.
3 inspectors that go out.
Is there some sort of standardization for if they are not adhering to what you're asking over time, they lose the right to have chickens?
I mean, we hadn't encountered any, you know, I mean, of course, like with property maintenance and just an example of high grass, there are repeat offenders with high grass, and currently we don't have any steps that, you know, if this is your friend, which we are in the process of doing, so that's something we definitely can look at and address it, is if it's a repeat offender, we could revoke it.
Can I ask how this even came up? There's X amount of people already have chickens, and most people, I think, care.
We got like calls to board of mayor and alderman, and
people
they
are trying to follow the rules and do it the right way. They realized they weren't allowed to, and they weren't.
Okay.
be able to.
And I'll say this is a tough one for me because on one hand, you want people to be able to use their property like they would like to, and you don't want to put more of a burden though on the code department who already probably are understaffed, but.
Do you think it's so you feel like you guys can handle it?
I mean, I think we can make it work.
And I mean, we can always add staff later if it becomes a.
Oh, yeah,
an
we
issue.
should definitely ask staff later.
What's the odds of that?
You guys are speak up here on this here issue.
Yeah, well,
Then, when you go out, do most people seem to be within these provisions that you see?
Half and half.
She's asking about the size of the structure. Will there
We
be
have to have
restrictions on the size? I
to
guess.
this conversation that Steve.
Is that coop that's behind you?
Yes.
Is that lot in the city?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Do you know how many chickens it has?
It's in my bag.
Right, but that's, the coop is the small part, the run.
Do you know how many
The
chickens
coop is
are in there?
probably top over it.
How many are in there?
There's not a single.
None.
They
I was one of the ones who, I didn't know
I see.
that White House was not allowed to have, you're not allowed to have chickens.
Can I ask how close it is to
Sure.
the property line?
What's that?
That coop.
Yeah.
How close is that coop to your property line?
30 feet.
30 feet?
No,
That,
it's closer than that.
well, that wooded area is not actually my property,
That wooded area is your line.
It's an easement.
No,
Okay.
it's not, it's a shared property line. We
Okay.
had it surveyed.
There, there's the problem.
Alrighty.
Or the problem.
I mean, and with the R-15s and the HUDs and the PUDs and all of the HOAs, that's a protection.
The
And
HOA,
it's a protection. But what I'm hearing is that we've got properties backed up to each other, one's HOA and the other one's not.
Yeah, you always have that instance.
So, I mean, that's an issue. That's not going to be just one instance. I think that the enforcement of this is probably something that White House really doesn't need to get into. I am of the camp that we need to, the city's growing, and it's a city. Cities allow chickens, I understand that, but,
Nashville allows them on tiny lots.
yeah, they do.
But the enforcement is already taking place. That's the thing. I think if what I'm seeing with what Jenna's doing here, she's actually creating some guidelines that she can use. And I think,
We need to have
you know, you asked about, okay, how do you, since we already have people violating this, we are already enforcing it. I think if we initially, if you end up voting for something like this, you may want to consider the size of the coop. You know, that might be something you might want to add to this. But it does help the zoning department when the codes inspector goes out, sees that they're not following one of the criteria that's listed. They can give them a warning. They can follow their process, cite them into court if they don't adhere to the warning. That's how we would roll it out. Now, in the beginning, you know, as this goes out, people might say, "Hey, we can now have chickens." You know, but again, they're going to have to look. We're going to probably look at their HOAs too to see if we need to get the HOA to enforce it. It may be a little bit of a rush in the beginning, but once you start stabilizing it out, I think it will just kind of take care of itself. I don't know if it'll get that far out of control, but I mean, if it does seize it, we would definitely look at needing, if we needed to hire another property codes inspector, we could possibly look at that. But I don't think that will be the issue. We had the same thing with it's been brought up several times about animal control. When we laid off animal control back in 2010 under previous administration, you know, that was like, oh, what are we going to do? Well, we get 3, 4, 5 calls a year, and our police officers are able to cite if a dog is running at large. They can figure out who it is. They cite for that, and to hire somebody. If you want to cover your shifts 24 hours a day, you need 5 people 24 hours a day to be able to cover 7 days a week. And we didn't do that. We had a guy that worked during the day, and he didn't have much to do at all most days. Because when our police department gets a call of 3 or 4 maybe a month, that doesn't justify paying somebody in benefits, a truck, and all the equipment that goes with it, and the liability. It just didn't seem like it was working for us. And, I don't even hardly ever get a call anymore about animal control. So I think this here is just a way for the planning department, who has responsible for these chickens, to have some kind of rule that they can use to support themselves when they go to court. You have a specific, they're violating this specific part of the code. Right now, it's kind of general and vague, and makes it a little bit harder, I would imagine, for her to try to testify to what it is that they're
Yeah,
violating.
because like she's saying, we don't, it's average 1 or 2 a month, but we could go a few months without hearing anything, and we hadn't had many come to BZA.
And you asked about permits, certainly, obviously, we could create a permit, we could create a fee that could go along with it. The planning commission could approve a fee that we would charge, that would be fine. And then anybody that has it now, we would give them so many days to fill out a permit and pay the fee. That would be something we would have them do if we get a call that they haven't, and they're not permitted. That would be one thing they could do. So I don't know if the enforcement would be as strong as you, initially it might be, but I think it would not be too awfully hard to manage.
And I don't think we're gonna get 100
But we
people
already
running to
have
get chickens. I don't see it. There's gonna be a handful, and that's it.
But we already have a code that says they can't have the animals if they don't have less than an acre. So why are we not enforcing that?
We are, and that's what she's saying, but I think this is giving her a little bit more guidelines. I think our current code just says under an acre, but it doesn't really get into some of these specifics in the code stuff. We have some spread out in our
But if
municipal
they're
code.
under an acre, they're not supposed to have them at all, so why?
That's right, they're
So
not.
why would there be why are we needing to tell them how many they can have when they're not supposed to have it?
Well, she said this is for all residents,
Right.
so if you want to leave the 1 acre rule in there, that's fine too. I think
Okay.
this is good guidelines for our planning department. If you leave it as it is with 1 acre, I would like to see some of these ideas that she's incorporated into the code, so it helps her in her enforcement. So I don't have either way. To me, if you have less than an acre of land, I'm not sure what you're doing with chickens in your backyard, but that's up to this planning commission to make that decision.
So this proposal that we got here doesn't specify acreage, so we could put in how much.
Could.
And that would give the guidelines plus the acreage.
Yes.
Okay, I got you.
That's what you
I'm a
could
little
do.
slow sometimes.
No, that's fine, that's up to you, because it doesn't specifically say that, but that could be added along with the size of a coop. I think there's some merit to that.
Does it make sense to defer another month to add that in, or?
You could defer another month to write that up, to bring it back to you again with those 2 changes maybe, and if that's what you're leaning towards, staying over an acre and doing something with a structure, because I could see in my head somebody really going creative on building some kind of a coop that would be like, the world's best coop,
Just for 4 chickens.
Right, it should.
have a Christmas tree in it, all 9 yards,
We got provisions for accessory buildings, but we don't have provisions for chicken coops.
That's what it means right now.
I think it would give you an opportunity to review and see what size is normal for 4 chickens, if that's what you're gonna allow, and I think that's good that you cap it too. I don't think we should allow as many. If you have over an acre of land, you shouldn't have 100 chickens on your lot, right?
For sure.
And we don't really have that regulated, so
You have that?
I don't think we have that regulated like that, do we now? Do we have a limit on how many chickens they can have over an acre?
No, as of right now, it's very vague.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But they have to go to BZA no matter what.
Right.
So at BZA is when they would be told what type of livestock and how many, per case. But I will say I could definitely add in more about a coop size and, design. But, if we keep it at an acre, we're not really changing anything. There's not that many over an acre lots at the moment.
Right. But it helps us enforce those that are under an acre. Nobody would be allowed to have them. They would be cited if they had it, they're under an acre land.
Well, the tricky part, when you go to Tractor Supply, they sell little coops out there that are 4 square feet, and they sell chickens and ducks inside, people with kids. I mean,
It's right there.
And 4-H, county 4-H.
these people, I think a lot of the mindset with these is more of a hobby than.
Yeah, it is. And I will say, like, Brendan, his wife that came in, their lot is 3/4 of an acre. It's really close to being an acre. And it's, I will say, I want to stay unbiased here, but it is hard when I go to a house with a yard that's fairly good size, and you can tell they have a little cute coop with their kids taking care of chickens, and I have to tell them to get rid of it. And if that's the case, then
I think that's what, when I read this, that's what I see. I don't see this as somewhat serious chicken.
What you call yourself, but they keep chickens.
I mean, that's a possibility. Valerie mentioned maybe a half acre, not a, whether it's an acre, half acre, quarter of an acre, three-quarter of an acre, that's something you all have to make that decision on, that's fine with us, but I think, again, I agree with the guidelines, I agree with the size of the coop is really gonna be important, that we have something like that, and I think we can manage the enforcement.
I think we got a lot of commotion going on about something, about a problem that doesn't really exist. It's too easy to wool, you wool a kitten, little baby kitten till its eyes get sore. We've wooled this till its eyes are sore already, and I don't see a need for any of this. It just, how many chickens you really got out there? I mean, ma'am, I'm sorry, you're bugged by the chickens behind you.
I am, yes, again, maybe if the thing wasn't 8 foot tall and 10 foot long, and it was below my 6 foot fence, I probably wouldn't even know they had
You
one.
wouldn't know.
I probably wouldn't say a word. I grew up on a farm. I have no issues with chickens. I told you all that. But I think the structure of this situation is huge. Because if you just let somebody build anything they want, no offense, let anybody build anything they want, well then, there are no rules. I mean, I personally like the 1 acre because I chose to live in the city, but that's okay. Again, I just think we've got to keep this low key and out of every Tom, Dick, and Harry's view.
Right.
Is the structure 8 feet by 2 feet?
I think these are the plans. I can't remember the exact plans, but it's somewhere around 8 feet, but there's a run to it. I can show you pictures of it. It's no bigger than any one of those, tough sheds that people put in their backyard, or those parking structures that are all over, backyards that are already up.
Kids' playhouses,
Same
things
thing.
like
It's
that.
smaller than a playhouse,
And it's empty.
All right, so I just have one question. I think we might want to. This was put together years ago, really not for chickens. It was more for people wanting to have horses, and that's why the regulations it used to be 2 to 5 acres, and they dropped it to 1. So basically, if we redo this 4.170, if you have 4 acres, you won't be able to do a horse, because it's basically deleting all the other animals. I could see this as a secondary part to the other one. I still think if someone has 3 or 4 acres, that's a whole other kind of hobby. You got a horse or a sheep or something. So I guess there's still some questions tonight. If we're comfortable with the acre, or if we want to, look at doing a coop size. It sounds like some might not even really want to do anything. So I don't know if we want to just call the vote, because this is a recommendation to the board, mayor, and alderman. Now, someone could make a motion to defer if they feel like there's some additional items needed, or someone can make a motion to approve or to deny the recommendation.
Either way, it's gonna end up at the board of mayor and alderman, right?
Yes, ma'am, it will. And they can make changes as they go through the process too.
Right, because that's where it could be addressed, the size of the structure.
I'll make a motion to approve the change to allow it on less than an acre, with the stipulation that you add some language in there regarding the coop size, so that don't have these massive McMansions for chickens in the backyard. I think that's a valid concern.
Do we need to amend it, though, to make sure that we're not making people who have horses right now over 3 or 4 acres? Do we need to also fix that?
We need to fix that, because I don't.
Yeah, you could do this.
I don't think we're taking that out. This is an add-on.
This is an add-on.
But it's the same number.
It would be an add-on specific to chickens.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think the horses and everything else will get.
Okay, so the 1 to 5 is still.
Do we need to address the permit?
Yeah, there's no permit
Are we gonna language the permit?
I think that's administrative. They can. I don't think you need that
That's something
defined.
we'll probably bring back to you later.
Okay.
Pardon?
It would be administrative, if we set up a permit with a fee, we definitely would want to bring it back to the planning commission. And the board, mayor, alderman would have to approve any fees that we charge.
Yeah, it would just be a discussion item with the permit.
I need to put one thing out there too. If we're gonna recommend this to board of mayor and alderman, I think that they had a good point that their structure of 8 feet probably isn't much higher than a lot of the play sets that are out there. Just throwing that out there. I don't have that dog in the fight.
Are we gonna limit the number of children to the backyard?
No.
Limit their height.
I mean, I can, absolutely, I could see that happening, and I just, yeah.
Some kids need.
Right, I think there's a purpose for it, I think you need to, yeah.
All right, so we do have a motion to approve with, stipulation as discussed. This is a recommendation to the board member and alderman, so we got a motion, we have a second.
I'll second it.
All right, motion and second, part do a show of hands on this. All in favor of the motion, raise your hand. All right, again? I think we do.
4 to 3.
4 to 3, okay. This is recommendation, so the board member and alderman will take this up. Thanks for all the comments on this. I know it seems trivial, but it is important to people.
And I'll have this on the January meeting, just so there may be holidays coming up.
Mayor and Alderman, right?
Yeah.
Not us.
No, Board of Mayor and Alderman.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. All right, item 6, this is Publix, the new retail center on 76 under construction. I'm sure you all seen it. There's a request regarding some sections of the building they're wanting to revise materials, exterior materials.
Yeah, and I told the developer that they did not need to fly up from St. Petersburg for this. I could handle the discussion, and if we need to call them, we would. Basically, they're changing the rear elevation and the eastern side of the elevation. All of the material of the EIFS there, it's all required, all allowed in our design standards, but the percentages were a little off. So they're looking to do EIFS on the rear and on the side, deviating from the Brickstone and Hardy. And I appreciate our attorney Valerie, because, if this were a variance from this would also need to go to BZA. And, we made sure we were following the rules, and it is just a change in alteration rather than varying from anything in there. So this is what they're bringing before you, asking that you allow them to do the rear with the EIFS rather than the Hardy board.
And that rear, that is facing?
That'll be facing the buffer of the, part of it will be on one side on the greenway, the other will be on the rear of the property where that new commercial, on the buffer of that.
And the buffer would remain even if the development takes place?
Yeah, because it's like, I think it's like a V-type buffer behind there.
Does it have any percentages of the EIFS, or?
If you look at, the front, the northern facing and the western facing will remain, probably, if you had to put a number on it, it'd be about 40%.
And that's why I think the standard is like 40.
Yeah.
Because I guess, the siding, the Hardy board, cement fibers are like the brand.
Yeah.
Cement fiber board and the brick would be preferred material, so they can do the stucco with 40%.
And this is something that myself and the inspector, since the planning commission approved it, we it could have been an administrator, but we thought, we weren't comfortable making that decision. So this would be something that we're more comfortable bringing before publicly.
A lot of they're doing the EIFS with block walls. That's usually, always, you almost just paint the concrete. All right, so we do have this request. According to these, looks like it would still meet our requirements, just a change from the original plans that were submitted. All right, we have any other questions about this?
They said it was because there's no visibility from the public, which is the reason for the variance. But, is that a true statement anymore with the new development coming in behind it?
I think they were thinking because it's, at the rear where it's the delivery aisle, and then, the public, driving down 76 and 31, the majority of public won't be seeing it.
But what about that new development?
There'll be a buffer, there'll be buffer between that development.
Wood?
Yeah, there'll be wooded area, a portion of wooded area behind there. So.
I would say I know Ms. Silver said variance, but it's really not a variance, it's just a change to the
Alteration.
It's not it's not something that's not permitted by our standards, it's just a change from the
Change
original.
from what was approved.
So see, does you're saying that you guys could have approved this without us?
We could have, I mean, it wouldn't have been the right thing to do, I don't think, so.
Yeah,
I
but
think
if-
that it
if
does
you-
need your
Yeah,
approval.
it needs your approval.
If you could have approved it without,
I still would have probably said.
I don't think you could have approved it without you,
No,
because
I
you
don't think, I
approved
mean,
the
there's a
plan.
small percentage that they could have been under the threshold, but
okay.
just want you to have the comfort level that I won't approve anything you approve previously.
This board approved the elevation, but
Yeah.
they would be responsible for a change of this.
Is
This
this-
is a pretty significant change. It's
Yeah.
25% or more of the building, probably more than that, because you have a long back to it, so.
And this, I guess, the planning commission is the design review board for
Yeah.
the city, so, okay.
Ready for a motion?
Yes,
I'll make a motion to approve it.
motion approved, we got a second?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Alright. Item 7, request recommendations of the board of Mayor and Alderman to accept Fields at Oakwood Phase 1 and 2-1. Alright, Steve.
Fields at Oakwood Phase 1, and 2.1, this actually came before you, and I didn't realize that they were asking for acceptance, they were asking for a reduction, is what we got that clear, so they're asking for acceptance of this, the recommendation to go to board and Mayor and Alderman, so they'll be in the 10% of their, original bond. So, Public Services has walked it and signed off on this, so.
Looks like the bonds for both, one's 340, one's 170,000. Are all the lots in this phase home lots?
In Fields and Oakwood, there are still, I was supposed to have that number, I don't have it right off the top of my head, but I can go on development tracker. They're a good ways complete in Fields at Oakwood though. And the developer is looking to get from under these bonds as quick as he can, in this one, and he owns, the reserves also, so that's why I took that one off, but he's looking to get from under those bonds.
And the city's done a lot recently, over the last couple of years, with how they build curbs and roads, so that hopefully should hold up with the thicker binders and better
And
curbs, so.
Andy and his team, they've been really aggressive in making sure that, we're not on the hook for anything and staying on top of that. Jason's been helping too with that initially.
All right, we do have a request, this will go, recommendation of the board, Mayor and Alderman again, to accept Fields at Oakwood. It looks like they would do 10% maintenance bonds, which is pretty common for the two sections. Do we have any questions about this? Any motion?
Motion to approve?
All right, got a motion to approve? Got a second, Ken, second? All right, motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, got a similar item that was moved, Legacy Farms Phase 1. All right, Steve, just explain the issue.
Jason did just make a good point. Phase 1 and 2, they're in Fields, going back to the other item, they are, those are the initial phases when you first drive in, they're about completing those phases. Legacy Farms, I actually, went out with, Public Services and walked this one and spray painted everything, and they signed off on everything, and this will be reduced to 10% of, for acceptance of.
And it's roughly 1.2 million right
Yeah.
now. Okay.
So it'll be reduced to, again, 10% of.
There's a lot, is it pretty far along? on
Yeah,
this?
it's basically complete. That's again when you drive in the entrance,
Okay.
in this first.
All right, so similar request to the board member Alderman to accept, Legacy Farms Phase 1 improvements with, maintenance bond. Any questions or comments? If not, we have a motion.
Motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. All right, motion and second to approve. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. I guess nothing else on the agenda. Anything else from the commissioners want to bring up?
I just want to make a mention that I did went off our request for proposals for land use development regulations, and we had a, meeting to rank those. And what that'll do is we'll be updating our subdivision regs, our zoning regulations, and commercial design standards. Prices and quotes will be, sent to the board of mayor and alderman next month, when we get those. So, that's in the works to just really get everything sort of, consistent with, regulations. So that's in the works.